Okay, so what we're going to do today is we are going to quantify the biodiversity of the tiger prairie this fall 2021 with its biodiversity back in 2019. Now remember, we talked about biodiversity is composed of two things. The number of species present, so in this case the tiger prairie had about 53, because I go to 54, 51 different species of plants in it. But we're also concerned about the number of each kind, because if we only have one broom, for instance, and something happens to it, then there's not another one that will be able to go on and reproduce and keep the brooms present in the prairie. So if you notice, we've got a lot of different species here, but a lot of ones and twos. So it's got a good thing and a bad thing. If I come down to this prairie, interestingly, this was back in 2019, we have fewer species, but look at the numbers here. The evenness, this is called evenness, the number of each kind is higher. So looking at the numbers by themselves, I can't tell which prairie is more diverse. I'm going to have to calculate it. Now, if you look over here, I've got this equation that looks kind of wild. H is what's called the diversity index, is equal to the negative sum of all of this. And the higher this number is, in a range from about 1.5 to 3.5-ish, the higher it is, the more diverse the ecosystem. Very easy. Then we have this number called evenness, and the evenness, the closer to 1 it is, the more even it is. So we want H to be as close to 3.5. Some of them are around 4. You'll see ours is a little higher than that. Or if evenness is 1, closest to 1, those are the two qualities that make good, solid biodiversity. So what we're going to do, we're not going to worry about how we got this. I will just say that the great thing about the Shannon Index is that it does include both richness and evenness in it. Some indexes do not. This one does. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this, our data here, to calculate this index. We're going to do richness. That's easy. We're going to count our species. Then we're going to dump our H's into the table. Then we're going to calculate H max and then evenness. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm only going to show you how to do one table. Then you're going to do another table, and you will have to calculate this small table on your own. So let's get started. Now, PI, so PI is the first thing we need to calculate. Now, PI is just a ratio. It's the ratio of this species with respect to the whole thing. How much it's the weight of this species on the whole index. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight here. We're going to highlight and we're going to drag. Right? And we're going to sum up all of the observations of the species that we made. So we're going to come over here to this sum. We're going to sum it. Remember, it's going to show up here, and we're going to hit enter. We made 335 observations. So if I go up here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell Excel, hey, remember equal, I'm about to do something. This cell divided by 335. So it's going to be equals the cell beside it divided by 335. I'm going to hit enter. If it doesn't ask you to autofill, remember you can click on the cell, drag all the way down. We've got all this data. We're going to pull this here and enter. All right. Now what we want to do is just take the natural log of this. Sheets will know exactly what to do. We're going to put equal ln, it's exactly what we see, parenthesis, this one, which is this cell. Close parenthesis, enter. Now this should be a negative number. That's normal. That's why this comes into play. all the numbers here from here out will be negative, but when we talk about H, we'll make it a positive number because a negative of a negative is positive. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to drag all the way down to the bottom, and there we go. All right, now what do we want to do here? All we want to do is this, pi times log of pi. So that's what I'm going to do. Equals this cell star this cell, and enter. I'm going to do that to all of my cells, and I'm going to do that. Now, let's look at our little table, because this is the little table that you're going to use tomorrow when you start looking at your lab. All right? So, richness. What is richness? All richness is counting the number of species that I have. So I'll do this one for you. The richness for this one is 51, because I go from 3 all the way to 54, so that means I have 51. What is H? All right. Now this says H is the sum of all these. So let's do that. The sum of all these, I'm going to click here. I'm going to drag like that. And I'm going to come over here and hit sum and enter. Now, that means that my H is a negative of a negative 3.31. So I'm going to put 3.31 here. All right. Now, what's H max? If I go up here, H max, this is where we find the instructions for this table. H max is the log of the richness, the natural log of the richness. So that means that this one is going to be equals the natural log of 51. Close parenthesis, enter. And then to find, I don't want to autofill, now to find E, it's just H over H max. So I'm going to say that this is equal to H divided by H max. You could type them in as well, and there's my values. So what you're going to do now is now notice this is 3.9, which is a little bit over the 3.5, so we've got a very diverse ecosystem, but that's okay. What you're going to do now is you're going to come down here and you're going to do all of those same things for Tiger Prairie 2019. These instructions will tell you exactly what to do. Okay? Start here with your richness and then move all the way through, and you should be able to have this whole table filled up. Again, the higher H is, the more diverse. The closer E is to 1, the more even.